So, if someone does actually want to cut body fat and they still want to train hard, how do you coach them through that nutrition? Because a lot of times we're talking about at calorie restriction, uh, we still need the protein, we still need those amino acids, the new ones, if particularly we're going to lay new muscle. How do I go through the process of eating at an optimal rate to lose body fat and retain and grow muscle?
Mhm. So I think there's also like some false information that you quite often hear. And fortunately, us living in the information area, I think like there's more people talking about how you can lose body fat and build muscle at the same time. With that, your caloric deficit needs to be modest, right? For sure it does. You can't avoid carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are absolutely integral in building muscle, because they're going to give you energy for good lifts, right? In my opinion, I don't know of any Mr. Olympia who ate keto ever, and those guys are taking things to the extreme level. It's going to be a little bit dependent on what works for you. My methodology of nutrition, I call it the luxury lifestyle allowance, where I use a very balanced nutritional approach. Um, Very balanced protein, carbs, and fats. I'm a little higher on protein and carbs, and keep fats pretty consistent for hormonal purposes. And then what I do with my clients is I give them a refeed meal, depending on the language you want to use for it, refeed slash cheat meal. Because obviously, like, there's semantics of people in the industry who are like, well, a refeed meal is just more food of the same kind of food that you're eating in your meal plan, and a cheat meal is a food that's off plan. So I guess you would call it cheat meal if you want to be the well actually guy who's pushing on his glasses, correcting everybody with terminologies kind of thing, right? And I do that because it down regulates the hunger hormones, right? And mentally it's easier. Socially it's easier. But I like a very balanced approach with my nutrition, and I like a modest overall caloric deficit through food. And then I like for my training and activity levels to be the dials that I'm turning most often, and I'm turning the food dial least often to dictate the change that I want out of my clients, right? Um, I used to do things different than I do now. Um, but I got great results to simplify things for the listeners with a 35 30 third sorry 35 35 30 macro split. 35% of your calories coming from protein and carbohydrates, and 30% coming from fats. I do things a little bit higher carbohydrates and lower fats now, but that's a that was an approach that I did for years that got phenomenal results with hundreds of clients with to simplify things. Because I'd have to go into the weeds a little bit on my own nutritional approach because I do carb cycling now on top of calorie cycling. But that's a very intelligent way to look at it.